Greetings, and welcome to GatherVerse XREvolve Summit, Day 2, 2025. We're at the precedent of something rather extraordinary happening in this world when it comes to innovation. We've never seen technology move at such a rapid clip. We've never been this way before. Over the decades, we've seen extraordinary and quite capable technology arrive to our doorsteps. We've innovated, we've scaled, we've gone from the information age to the application era, and from the applications era to the AI renaissance. And here we are. Sooner rather than later, everything that we know about artificial intelligence today, this time next year, will be completely different. Today, we interact with prompts, typing on our desktops and laptops and tablets. But tomorrow, we'll be interacting with hyper-realistic immersive simulated environments. We'll be interacting with AI with a personality, with a caricature, perhaps a body, a visualization. One day, soon, your interface will look similar to you. It will look at you, and it will be able to not only understand your language, but your disposition. And in turn, you'll be able to understand its disposition, and it will believe that it has its own disposition of theory of mind, self-aware. We are in need to be able to stay ahead of this new arriving machine species that is meeting us at our doorstep. To be able to teach it human alignment of values. But in order to do this, if we're going to extend reality, then we must bring all of reality with it. This is where GatherVerse meets at the intersection of humanity and emerging technologies for accessibility, education, equality, community development, safety, privacy, wellness, ethics, care, compassion. These things and more is where we meet at our 32nd Global Summit that we find ourselves at today. There were many things expressed on day one, and we're heading now into day two, and there's so much to unpack, and we only have a little bit of time to do this. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a family member. Share what it is that you're about to hear today. Our next roundtable discussion is focused on glasses. But what happens when glasses begin to think? There is much to be able to explore here. We have much to be able to unravel. We have further to go. We've barely scratched the surface. May our gather be well.
Hello and welcome to XREvolve Summit 2025 Day 2. And yesterday we had such an amazing day, and also a great introduction from Christopher as well. We have an amazing roundtable discussion coming up right now where we're going to be talking about the machine gaze, what happens when glasses begin to think. And also welcome to all the panelists being a part of this fantastic roundtable discussion. And if I can ask everybody just to mute your microphone, just so that we don't have any sort of feedback or interruptions and anything like that, so we can keep things running smoothly. And we do have a lot of questions as well on today's roundtable, so we're going to have a lot of interesting discussions. I'm very excited. So what we'll do is we'll quickly do a 30-second introduction from each of yourselves, and then after that we'll then get into the questions. So we'll start with the amazing Trina. Good to see you again as well. And then we'll go to Martha, Kuldeep, Vicky, Jamie, and then Ellie. So over to you, Trina.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again, Russell, and our wonderful visionary, Christopher, for the opportunity to speak before this group. I am Trina L. Hill, CEO and founder of TLH and Consulting, 25 plus year tech exec who is really focused on AI governance and resiliency in this season. I am excited about where technology is going, but I want us to be wise.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. And I love that quick introduction, Trina. So thank you very much for being on point. Martha, over to you.
Yeah, Martha Craichi here. Again, thank you for putting on this event. This is a really excellent event. I just run an 8-figure business from home with one full-time person.
Oh, that's nothing. That's nothing.
But we utilize a lot of AI, but again, responsibly. Trina, I'm so glad that you said that. It's so important. But yeah, that's who I am.
Thank you very much for the quick introduction, Martha. And Kuldeep, over to you.
Yep. I'm Kuldeep Singh, working in ThoughtWorks as a principal engineer and head of emerging technologies here. And I'm also an author of a book, Exploring the Metaverse. So, nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you for joining us, Kuldeep. And Vicky, over to you. And by the way, I really like your glasses.
Oh, thank you. So this subject, they don't have cameras in them yet.
Oh, damn it.
I'm Vicky Jones. I'm founder and CEO of VMH Publishing, which also publishes digital magazines in sports and lifestyle luxury. I'm interested in AI. It's definitely a bonus for us in terms of the speed and accuracy we're able to get information and content out. But again, responsibly. So all dynamics regarding AI is an interest for me and my team when it comes to storytelling. And also that includes cameras. So the one with the glasses, we'll see how that goes and how we want to make sure it's balanced and also having some boundaries when it comes to that. So that's my kind of view on it, but excited about AI overall.
Well, thank you for joining us, Vicky. And Jamie, good to see you. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm Jamie Dameron Larson. I'm a keynote speaker, coach, and adversity specialist, and I help leaders in a society obsessed with wins talk about loss and adversity and change and understand that it's just as powerful. And we need to incorporate it into our leadership. And I speak nationally on the topic, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you for joining us, Jamie, and very interesting indeed. And Ellie, please introduce yourself. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Classic online fashion. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
Awesome. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Ellie Boahen. I'm a first-generation Ghanaian American. I'm a cyborg anthropologist and technology ethicist, focusing on how we are going to impact and navigate through techno-literacy in a world that is constantly advancing and forgetting those who might not have access to the tools or the education to keep up. My particular focus is on older adults at the moment and developing tools, educational environments, as well as AI tools that include them into our current technology world and accessibly educate them while empowering them at the same time. I'm happy to be here again at GatherVerse.
Great to see you again as well, Ali, and thank you for being with us once again. And last but not least, myself, my name's Russell. I'm the co-founder and chief visionary officer at GatherVerse. We're building the trust layer for AI, and our mission is to verify the integrity and trustworthiness of AI models and making sure, ensuring the responsible adoption across industries. And our long-term vision is to create a future where everyone can trust AI. That's the end goal, hopefully, fingers crossed. Right, let's get straight into the questions. And question one, what distinguishes machine gaze from traditional camera systems? Very interesting question. And Trina, since you were first up, I'm going to also have you first up for this amazing question. All right, Trina, if you want to unmute your microphone.
All right, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Right, perfect. Yeah. So, the way I view it is the camera kind of focuses on the thing, right? So I take a picture of this beautiful screen of people and it's what I see. The machine gaze interprets how Jamie's feeling, or the expressions on Martha's face, or maybe she's thirsty because now she's drinking. The challenge that I have with that is that the question is, who programmed it to interpret what it's seeing? Right?
That's right.
Because maybe Martha isn't, maybe she isn't thirsty. maybe she's nervous, right?
That could be true
Maybe
as well.
Jamie's
Yeah.
sad, and just her facial expression is that she shows up as a coach. And so the normal things that we would view as being sad is not showing up. And so as we think about machine gazing, we need to ask the question, who's making the decision on what we see?
That's very interesting. And I think when it comes to AI and the autonomous of AI and integrating that with glasses and incorporating into machine gaze, it's also how are they going to interpret it too, right? From an AI's point of view, and how they're going to think and how they're going to process things. So it's a very interesting question. And Martha, actually, I can see you nodding, so please join in on the conversation as well. You know, what are your thoughts on what distinguishes machine gaze from traditional camera systems?
Yeah, I'm nodding because it's the same idea. But it's also the reverse surveillance that's happening too. So we think of the outwardness of it all, right? So I'm surveilling these things and I'm able to collect data from these things, but you don't realize that it's happening to you too. It's also looking at your eyes and seeing how you're reacting to things. And so there's the reverse surveillance that's happening and a whole networking of the reverse surveillance. But yeah, Trina brings up an excellent point of who's to say, because whenever we look at just the neurodivergent spectrum, I mean, if we just look at that, we all have very different reactions to things, and they mean different. They look different. Sometimes somebody is completely melting down, but looks stone-faced. So like,
That's true.
it's really uneducated. So where does the education, actually happen in that? Trina, I mean, that was a great point.
I mean, they're all saying also is, poker face, right? Like if you have a poker face and it's reading your facial expressions and you have like one of the most straight faces that you possibly can within poker, because obviously that's how, poker players read each other, is like, what's he actually feeling? Or, what is actually going in through his head? So it's a very interesting question that you bring up there, Martha. And my next question is, how do smart glasses reframe surveillance as a social dynamic? So Kuldeep, I want to bring you into this one, and also Vicky too. So Kuldeep, what are your thoughts on that? You also have to unmute your microphone, by the way. It's a little trick that we have. I think we permanently put it on though for you, Kuldeep, so you're not talking. I'm joking.
Okay, thanks for that. So coming to the question, so it's an era of changing from traditional CCTV based.
Oh, there's a lot of feedback there. Vicky, please. Okay. We'll hand this question over to you now. So, what are your thoughts on how do smart glasses reframe surveillance as a social dynamic? Oh, you've just muted as well. I think you might need to unmute yourself.
There we go. Yeah, it's going back and forth. But I want to make sure you guys can hear me well. Can you hear me well?
Yes. Okay, yes.
Wonderful,
it was just the feedback from the previous speaker.
Right. Okay. So let me, because on the social dynamic when it comes to the cameras. Well, I want to say this, and I'm just kind of speaking just from a human perspective when it comes to AI, when it comes to cameras. To Trina's point, when she spoke about cameras and she said, you just take the picture, this, that, and the other, and that's it. What you see, that's what you're gonna get back. Whereas with these AI glasses and the cameras in them, there's more happening. There are the analytics. They're trying to read people, but there's a human factor that's missing, in my opinion, because you can't read emotions. And then there is the thing that I brought about earlier when I introduced myself, which is boundaries. There are certain countries where you cannot take a selfie or it's against the law. In Dubai, you cannot do that. Something I just moved. Okay, there we go.
I don't know what's going on. The production seems to be top notch. As you can tell, our production is like at next level. Well, I am now behind writing. This is fantastic.
I just wanted to
I'm glad you can see the writing. Please continue. I'll stay behind the writing.
Okay. So yeah, the social component, when we're interacting with people, if I'm talking to everyone here, you guys are not thinking, okay, she's taking photos of me doing some, Mission Impossible action. That's a social boundaries. That's just humanity, in my opinion. So I think for me, just when you bring in, AI and the glasses and the camera, when you bring in the camera and people don't know whether you're taking a picture of them or not. I know there's a lot of brands right now that are just excited about it. And I think on the social part, now on the flip side of that is this: when you're in another country and you have the glasses in front of you and you're not understanding the language and the language is translating, this is minus the camera. The language is translating right in front of your eyes. That is a bonus. That's a bonus for me. It's also a bonus. I know we're going to get into this a little bit later, but I just want to share this. It's also a bonus for those, with the visual impaired, some things. But when it comes to that camera and, the humanity part, and if there's a selfie being taken, people around, okay, they have a camera up, I can duck, I can do this. You can't do that with the eyeglasses. You don't even know if a photo has been taken of you. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, I think as Christopher was saying earlier, human values need to be at the center of doesn't matter what the technology is, it needs to be central to that. And to your point, when it comes to translation, I mean, yesterday we had a discussion. Well, actually, I brought it up about how AI has their own way and their own language. Obviously, we need to be able to interpret that language as well with our glasses to understand like these future humanoid robots, or even if they have their own glasses, for example, right? So I think what to your point, what you're saying absolutely is correct. It's so important, and I'm hearing feedback from somewhere as well. But definitely it's very crucial that we do have that. For sure. So I completely agree with you, Vicky. And also, Ellie, let's bring you onto this question. How do smart glasses reframe surveillance and as a social dynamic from your lens and your point of view? Because you work with a lot of different people from different backgrounds. So I'm curious to hear your perspective on this.
Yeah, smart glasses basically change the surveillance dynamic from some big government or CCTV type system versus a peer-to-peer system. Similar to what Vicky had just brought up, you might not be aware if somebody has smart glasses that are recording or not. When the Meta Ray-Ban smart glasses first came out with that ability to record wearing on the face, technologists were able to quickly find out that if you just cover the camera with Sharpie, you won't know if someone's recording. This is where we're talking about health checkups, quote unquote, within both algorithms. Going back to the earlier question of camera, I have the note right here. There we go. Camera systems versus machine gaze. When we have camera systems, it's just the camera. It's up to the photographer to illustrate or conduct or frame the photo. But when you have machine gaze, that's where you get the coded gaze. That's where the machine is going to decide what is actually in frame and inform the photographer what's actually in frame. When you add that within surveillance technology, you can have someone being filtered through as a threat, as mislabeled, as somebody who is has a warrant out for them, as somebody who might be angry. And that's where this can be an issue, both in terms of daily life of surveillance, but when it comes to social dynamics, we're talking about neurodivergencies and neurological challenges. Those who might not be able to recognize faces might be able to recognize family members easier because they've developed and implemented their own relative tracking and tagging system using that coded gaze. But if you are getting misdiagnosed facial expressions or misdiagnosed appropriate indications that it is okay to record individuals, that's where you can end up in negative social dynamics. So to answer it more completely and concisely, I think we should first look into the algorithms that are being injected into these social dynamics and how these surveillance technologies might be carried on into third-party systems that can negatively impact us in our daily lives.
No, I completely agree with you 100% there, and it kind of reminds me of like vibe coding, but but through the lens, right? Interpretability, like interpreting, facial expressions, diagnosing or misdiagnosing. But then this also comes back to trust, right? And how are we able to trust what the AI is telling us within the glasses that we're wearing or what it's doing? So, and to your point, Ellie, I think we have to kind of maybe go under the hood, right, to be able to see that, right, to be able to understand, has this AI been trained the right way, or has it not, or what's the data that's been put in there, or or even just like what is the simple behavior of the model, right? Or what's the outputs of it, or what does it say, what does it do, how does it act? These are all sort of classic things that you can look for in terms of, right, if you can sort of trust a model or not, so to speak. So also I want to bring in Alaman quickly, because he's just joined us. So I wanted to get a quick introduction from yourself, Alaman. Cold Deep, also, if you could mute your microphone, that'd be really great. So Alaman, please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone from Nigeria. My name is Aideme, and I'm an information technologist. I kind of specialize in training children in the areas of virtual reality and blockchain in Nigeria. Yeah, thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us, Alaman. And it's a pleasure to have you with us. And also, Cold Deep, hopefully we've managed to sort your issues on the feedback. So let's go on to the next question now, which is, what safeguards should be in place before these devices reach consumers? So what we'll do is we'll head over to Jamie, and then we'll head over to Cold Deep for this specific question. And we will head over to you very shortly, Alaman, as well. So Jamie, please share your input on this question.
Yes, I think this is a very important question, actually. And we've already touched on it a little bit. We know that the Meta glasses actually have a light when it's recording. And I think that people having an indication that you are being recorded is something that we should have, because to the previous question, the power dynamics have changed. Now that anyone can record someone, it's not just the police that are surveilling, or, now a citizen can, turn around and surveil the police, right? So we have a bit of a paranoid dynamic going on that I think needs a lot of clear safeguards around them. I do think we also need to really be respectful to private or semi-private areas. If you're in a bathroom, if you're at someone's house, if you're not in public and you don't have that expectation of privacy, I think that we need to make sure that those safeguards are in place. And then most of all, I would say, and the people that are on this panel are doing it, and I hear a lot of amazing education. I think we need to be educated, and I think we need to talk to young people as little as 7 and 8, all the way, through our elderly population, is to educate that this is a tool. This is not a takeover. And we need to, the 25 years, this century, the technological advances are historical. And I think that what we need to understand is that we still, as human beings, can be in control of this if we educate and we put the sort of parameters in place that we need to keep our society feeling safe with technology, and not have a paranoia situation with everyone being recorded everywhere. So I think respect to privacy and education.
I completely agree. First of all, there is a massive education gap. Just in general, AI, blockchain, Web3, all the different technologies, XR, obviously glasses. There's a big, massive gap when it comes to the education aspect. So I think fundamentally what you're exactly saying, Jamie, is 100%. We need to have more education. And as Christopher says, also, the technologists need to become teachers too, right? So that we can have more education for younger generations. Now, in terms of the safety aspect, I completely agree with that as well. But there was a guy that we had on the roundtable yesterday, and he did bring up also a very interesting point. He says, we already have smartphones, right, which already has cameras and stuff on. So we already have surveillance, so to speak, right, when it comes to our phones, because we were talking about privacy. And he was like, you can't really have privacy as such, because the phones automatically track what you're doing and where you are, and et cetera, and they can go onto your phone, so to speak, to look at things if they really wanted to, of course. But obviously, privacy is very important. So, from his point of view, I can see through his lens and I can see his point. However, I also agree what you're saying, Jamie, which is the safeguards do need to be in place so that we can safely adopt this. So that, for example, having the red light, or even having like an opt-in, opt-out thing, or there's different ways which you can kind of like implement this. I think it's important that we do have those in place, because if we don't have that, then there's no way that you can trust wearing these glasses, having them on day to day, and it might put a lot of people off adopting or even potentially wearing them. So Kuldeep, I want to bring you into this question. What are your thoughts on what safeguards should be in place for these devices to reach consumers?
Yeah, I'll start with the point where you bring in that privacy is remaining just a thought on depending on situation. For example, autonomous vehicle, autonomous driving car, we are already getting surveillance from there. But that's a specific case. As long as these devices are defined for specific case, for example, autonomous vehicle, whatever is streamed, that will be used for this purpose. If that transparency is there, then it's easy to trust on those devices. Otherwise, it's really hard to trust in being in such an environment where people are wearing these glasses, where everyone is being recorded. So that's the other side of it. But the people who are wearing, for them also, these devices are not yet ready, in my opinion. For example, safety nudges should be integrated into the operating system of those devices, so that the application developer can't change them. For example, if you look at Apple Vision Pro, bring in few of the extra features, but developers can't access each and everything from the device. Still, they are limited to the internals of the sensors of the data. Similar set of things need to be established in these devices, so that even if we are getting surveillance, but not every developer, not everyone will be able to access that. Only the part of thing, maybe if someone need to sense the eyes, only the data from those eyes using those APIs will be able to access. You can't really access, even if the device has other data, that should be at the lower layer. So the architecture of device need to be really in that way that it is an whole operating system making the in the devices, rather than thinking it as a plain Android application or a plain iOS operating system where anyone can build application and try to use everything what is being recorded or anything. So and other thing is the user interface design for there should be defined standards. For example, safety nudges. If someone get into the environment which is not supposed to be, a child may be there, or the environment of a hospital, for example, where someone is not supposed to be recording something. Now, AI should automatically detect such environment from operating system level, and it will blur or stop that person, or warn that person that you are here, you are not allowed, and things like that. So those devices need to be constrained, need to be under some standards, practices, why and what purpose these devices need to be used, rather than thinking of an open device anyone is using. So
no, I mean, you bring up some very, very good points there. And whilst you was talking, I was instantly thinking about, because AI is, I mean, we have AI agents right now, right? And it's heading more towards more autonomous and agentics, right? As we're heading into the future. So when it comes to, and I do want to bring Trina in this question because I'm very curious to hear what she has to say. And thank you, Kuldeep, for sharing. And then Alaman, we will head over to you very shortly. I just want to kind of get Trina on this question. When it comes to fully autonomous, right, and being able, like, for AI thinking for itself and training for itself, etc., how do we put these safeguards, these safe rails in place if these machines are just fully automating everything anyway? Like, they can decide what they want to do for themselves, right?
Yeah. So first, I tell people in my Southern voice that I don't believe AI is for everything, or AI ain't for everything, as we would say in the South, right? So first, let's start with back to what problem are we trying to solve, and how are we going to leverage AI in order to address the problem, right? And then whether it's what I call traditional AI versus the plethora of AI options today, then you can figure out how to use it and then figure out how to govern it. The thing that I've been talking to my clients about is do not fire all your people. I know it sounds really strange, but there is this mental vision that, hey, we're going to just get rid of 500 people that have been governing your banking processes and your compliance, or your medical processes and compliance. We're going to just get rid of all 500 of those people, and we're going to let a machine make the decision. No, what you should be doing is figuring out where to leverage the machine to make things more efficient, right? And then having people oversee that. You don't need 500 people, but you probably need a good 100 or maybe a good 50 that can govern. And then when they see something, they say something. And what I mean by that is it's not just the system is down, the physical servers, or I can't access the system. Is the model doing what it's supposed to be doing, right? So if Russell comes in and the agentic AI is saying, oh, he comes in, he's allergic to peanuts, and I'm going to just make this up. He's allergic to peanuts and soy. Well, the machine should say, hey, we have this medication that Russell cannot take. But somebody else should be overseeing that, because there's a new medication on the market and it hasn't been updated in the system that says that they leverage almond oil as a base of that particular medication, right? You've got to have checks and balances. We cannot remove people from the process. I think people are the greatest safeguard we have. We can definitely put compliance there. And like Kuldeep mentioned, you can add some software guardrails as well, but we cannot remove humans from the scenario. You cannot remove them from the conversation, because here's the reality. The machine is going to do what we teach it. It's like a child. AI is a kid. You're raising this child. When you raise a kid, you don't birth the child and just leave it to itself. No, right. You have to feed it. You have to educate it. You have to teach it. You have to also discipline it. You have to oversee it. It's the same thing. We can't just build it and leave it. And so it's going to be, to me, vitally important that we continue to leave people at the core. AI is a tool, right? But we cannot be removed from the equation. We are, to me, the greatest asset in this conversation. The tool just helps us amplify our greatness. It does not replace our greatness. It does not replace our humanness.
I will jump in, because I agree. Human in the loop is important. Human oversight is important. But as these AI, as we head into super intelligence and even general intelligence, AGI, these AI and autonomous models, etc., they're going to be smarter than any human on the planet, and that will get to the point where you won't be able to unplug them anymore, or you won't be able to have human oversight anymore. And eventually they'll get to the point where they'll just go off and do their own thing. The best thing that we can do is make sure that we guide them in the right direction, to make sure that they are responsible and that they do for good. But it's kind of worrying at the same time, but it's kind of like, okay, we can do that, we can guide, but like, at what point does like the human get removed, and then like the AI then just carries on going itself? Because it will get to that stage where AI will be controlling itself, and AI will communicate with other AIs and guide AIs, etc., and they'll do their own things. So it's a very worrying concern. Please jump in.
Yeah. So Russell, the way I view this is, I understand that's the vision, but I still think as we build and we control today, we need to think about that in mind. There should be a fail switch. We should be able to pull the plug if something happens. We need to build the infrastructure such that if something goes wrong, that we as humans can pull the plug, right? Because at the end of the day, we're still responsible. We're still responsible. I still liken this AI, and then I'll be quiet. I still liken it to, again, parenting. At some point, your child, you can no longer control what they do. They have to make decisions on their own. But there again is still accountability that is built into this world. If you speed, you're going to get a ticket. Eventually, you continue to speed, somebody's going to take your license, right? To me, AI is very similar to that. We still need to have, everyone is responsible for the governance and oversight of AI. If it's not serving us well, we should have something that says, we're going to sue you, we're going to hold you accountable, or we're going to pull the plug as we build AI into every single thing that we do every day.
Couldn't agree more, Trina, and thank you for going with me on that conversation. I do sometimes go off topics and off questions, so please just keep that in mind when I do ask some side questions. So getting back on the topic now, which is what are the implications for children or elderly users when it comes to glasses? And Aliman, please join us and share your thoughts on this question.
So I kind of feel that everyone has contributed massively already. And the second question, I wanted to just put in some contribution. What are the safeguards? What safeguards should be in place in terms of consumer and all that? For me personally, I kind of think that no, this technology does not control us. We are in control of this technology in the first place. So at the end of the day, we need to understand that when we are in this environment, we use AI, we use blockchain. We should not just forget that there's a part of us that has this humanity in us that need to do the right thing. So we should not just forget that part of us, right? Because at the end of the day, when you lose hold of your humanity, you begin to see things from the AI perspective, the virtual reality perspective, and you begin to do things that you're not supposed to do over time. So just lose hold of what humanity should looks like and what it should feel like over time. So that's all.
No, I completely agree. And human values should be centered in everything. And that's, that's what I'm hoping for when it comes to, AI, that we can all input and having it in building it in the right direction and making sure that we have responsible AI and that, human values at the center of all that. Now, my next question is, what are the implications for children or elderly users using the glasses? So, Martha will bring you in, and then Ellie will also bring you in as well. And then we'll head over to Jamie and Vicky very shortly. So Martha, what are your thoughts on the implications for children or for elderly users?
Yeah. So I think I'll take children because I think Ellie should take the older one because that's her thing, right? I think for children, well, I'm going to harken back just a second. I left a note to myself so I wouldn't forget. But whenever we are talking about, the safety of using them, and this works with children as well, like it's directly related, but the safety of it, I believe there needs to be just an auto geofencing in there where they literally shut down, where like if there's if the blueprints of all buildings exist in there. If you're in a restroom, you're in a restroom, they shut down. You're in somebody's hospital room, they shut down unless you're a doctor and can override it because you're using it for that reason. Like there should, in my opinion, be those sorts of things that just don't allow it to be abused. But for kids, I kind of think back to the beginning of COVID. And I remember thinking, gosh, everybody's got these face masks on. And how are these kids learning language right now? They're not seeing anybody's mouth. They're not seeing the human expression. And it kind of, to me, there's a golden thread from, not a good golden thread, but there's a golden thread from that to here, where they may be told, if they're watching, if they're wearing the glasses, they might be told, and we've been talking about this so far in this talk, they might be told, well, this is what somebody means when their face looks like this, right? And so they're learning that from a machine, right? And then whenever we look at the machine, just like Trina said earlier, who is teaching the machine? Well, I mean, there's also something to be said for all of these companies putting so much money into AI. And so we look at, if we just look at it in a microcosm, weaponized media, right? That's companies paying for media. It's companies paying to change the way that somebody thinks. Well, why are they putting so much money into this, right? It's a way to change how people are thinking and how they're perceiving. So we need to be able to also keep it very streamlined in an ethical way that somebody can't buy into. But I think we're already past that point, if I'm being honest. And so to answer the actual question for kids, I think that, sorry, I had my notes, right? But I think for kids, actually, it's just going to look a lot like we as parents need to be telling them, like, we don't live in our glasses, right? Your glasses are not supreme truth. The supreme truth is our lives, our way that we interact with each other. That is supreme truth. The glasses have their place, but we need to be able to explain that to them, because a few generations from now, they may not still have that.
No, honestly, I completely agree with that. And I think we were even discussing last time about, being able to have contact lenses. Eventually it'll change from glasses to contact lenses. And then if it's always on your eyes all the time, do you tell the difference between reality and not? Right? And you have to be able to take the lenses out so that you can get, as you say, the supreme truth, which I really like that, by the way.
Thanks. You could take it.
All right, I trademarked that. Thank you. Not joking. Ellie, over to you. What are your thoughts?
Oftentimes when I'm lighthearted and talking about how I create the educational materials that I do for older adults, I joke and say, when you look at young, early childhood education and older adult education, it's a Venn diagram that almost looks like a circle. But that's on the education piece versus the actual lived experience. When we're talking about with children, as Martha had mentioned, they're still developing social cues. And I saw firsthand of how not being able to see the full face has impacted children's abilities for speech, because they're not seeing the full mouth move, enunciate. And so that's leading to gaps within their ability to communicate. In addition, you are for older adults require autonomy. They are adults first and foremost. So when we are bringing in this visual technology into their spaces, they should have the right to consent. They should have the right to not be overdiagnosed. It can be helpful for them. For example, there's an older adult who wants to live independently in their home. They can have their AR nurse remind them where their medication is placed. Their AR nurse be called an emergency to let them know that they've fallen, for example. But the overdiagnosing of, oh no, you're doing something that might be dangerous, and calling that interjection, older adults can sometimes feel over surveilled on top of not being integrated and guided into this new age of technology. So for older users, I think we should remind them that they do have the right to privacy, on top of which, on the technology end, we have to implement that. Speaking from an American perspective on privacy and law, many states, you don't have the right to your face. Across the US, you don't have the right to be forgotten. And those are very important things where your data is constantly being processed, especially off device. An older adult might just want to be able to video call with their kids or show them something cool without bringing out their phone. But now they're getting advertisements for the things that they showed on their camera. And many older adults are not afraid of deleting photos or deleting information. So fundamentally, we need to remind developers, and from the technology perspective, right down to the device, of privacy by design, consent and autonomy for older adults, and of course, managing that hands-on for children.
Honestly, you said it really well there, and thank you for sharing that earlier, Martha. I think both of you covered a lot of points there, and yeah, I mean, it needs to be adopted correctly and right, and built in the right way too, and I like how you're saying privacy first, safety first, and I think also it comes down to trust, right? I mean, I want to be able to trust to put on glasses and be able to use them on a day-to-day basis. I don't want to be having to worry about my concerns of safety all the time, or having to worry about, is it recording this or recording that or doing this, or is the AI starting to go off like crazy and AWOL and doing all different, crazy things as it gets more autonomous. So, I completely agree with both of you there. So anyway, let's get on to the next question, which is, how do we define accountability when AI makes perceptual decisions? So Jamie, we'll head over to you, and Vicky. And yeah, my voice went up there, so I didn't know I could hit that high note,
That's okay. I think that what we need to I think everyone's talked about it a lot here, is that the first thing that we need to remember is that we still exist. We are human beings, okay? And we need to, as Trina was saying, and I think to piggyback on what a lot of people have been saying here today, is to remember that we are in charge. We are the human beings, right? And that's how we can define accountability. We already talked about, the geofencing, is that, as I mentioned before, is that this is a tool, and the accountability is only ever going to come from us. So we also need to talk to developers. We need to talk to and understand those people, the people that are distributing it, and then the education around the institutions that are getting these, and is to understand the origin of and the algorithms and what we're using as far as making sure that we are watching, right? So I think that there is, again, to piggyback on Trina, I think there's sort of this dream that we're not going to need humans anymore, and we won't need any more, we don't have to pay for healthcare anymore. We don't have to have people, and all we need is this machine. And it's just simply not going to be the end result that works well in our society. I think functionally, I think ethically, I think that we are always going to have to be accountable for overseeing it, because there is an amazing tech side of life. I love tech. I think that it's helped my life. It's helped my business. It is a wonderful part of my life. But the other side of our lives, empathy and emotional intelligence and the courage and the communication and the part of humanity that also makes us wonderful, has to be where we are accountable and stand over the machine to make sure that it becomes part of our society and not a takeover of it.
I mean, yeah, I really like, I want, we're getting some feedback there, but I definitely want humanity to be centered at all of this. Like, human values have to come first, like point blank period. Doesn't matter what technology is, what you're doing, how you're doing it, how you're building it, what data you're inputting. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're doing Gen AI or you're doing AI with glasses or whatever it may be. You always have to come back to making sure that human values are first and fundamental. Because,
and then also one more thing quickly is then to be prepared to hold businesses accountable and the responsible parties accountable for things that they're not doing, and to be able to speak up and say, this is incorrect and this is not what we should be doing. And so there has to be a pushback, not just an oversight, is pushing back on things that we find harmful. It's the new cigarettes, right? So we have to make sure that we as a society also push back.
No, I completely agree, honestly. Sorry, Alaman, I'll head over to you shortly. I just need to bring in Vicky because Vicky was up next. Vicky, what are your thoughts? And please do share your thoughts.
Indeed. Thank you so much. So on the perceptual, is going back to what we originally said when we started out, is AI may have a perception, or artificial intelligence has a perception of something, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's reality. We're talking about humanity. We're talking about emotions. We're talking about a stoic face versus someone who's actually having a meltdown on the inside. So that can't be read, by AI. In my opinion, it can't be programmed. When it comes to accountability, this is just my take. Someone mentioned earlier, and it's a very good point. I think it was Kuldeep, about when you're going into hospitals. Very, very good point. And someone else, many points brought it about it automatically shutting off. But will the programming include, okay, every room that you walk in or every building, it's able to detect that this is a hospital, this is a no AI zone, a no recording zone, or we need some privacy zone? Is it going to be able to save that and shut off? Will there be someone, a human, when you speak of trust, who is not trusting and they are not being responsible, and their eyeglasses are taking off in their purse, and then when they get into the place, they put them back on for whatever it is they want to record or make a video to put on YouTube to get 5 million hits to make money?
That's a good point. You do bring up a good
because
point.
that's what's happening. That is what's happening even right now when we use artificial intelligence just on recreating presidents and such, or even Denzel, who said something that he really didn't say for the purpose of getting 5 million clicks and get a check. That's where we are right now on that side. So add the glasses. I do appreciate, because like Jamie said, my business has, because there was a moment when I was not able to keep up with the speed with things that were happening for my vision and for how I was able to execute. I needed technology to keep up with me. Then came this flood of all these different tools as a result of artificial intelligence. So it's done wonderful. But when we talk about people misusing and thinking or hoping that human beings will just do the right thing when you're in a hospital, or when they're children, or when people are in the privacy of their home, they let you in to have wine at the end of the evening, and you put your glasses on in the bathroom and record their medicine cabinet or whatever. So I know we can do that with phones, but this makes it even simpler. So that goes into that accountability. And how do you do that? What is the programming going to look like in those eyeglasses or any other device, as far as I'm concerned, where people will just do the right thing? And how do you shut that off or trigger to shut it off? It's a great thing for the recording, but like someone said early on, they need to put the black stuff over it, and then we can still record. That is just an example. So those are the things that concern me. And then the other one other point, when it comes to perception and that analysis, is like some of those people. No offense to people who have family members or who are that
Yeah.
have a therapist or psycho, those that are in the psychology department. Sometimes people don't know how to shut that off. And every time you're speaking about coffee from Starbucks, there's an analytic that's going and that just overly, oh my God, can I just enjoy the coffee? Whereas AI never shuts it off, and you feel like you're having a conversation, you're constantly analyzed. You know what? This is just too much. You're creating an environment of constant paranoia, defense. You know what? Let me get out of here because I can't just have a decent conversation about a cup of coffee.
I'm gonna have to jump in, Vicky. We are running out of time, but thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm gonna quickly just give 30 seconds to everybody to just quickly say some things. I know we're gonna run over about a minute or two, but I'm sure Christopher won't mind, so we can do a couple more minutes. So I want to do quickly 30 seconds from each of you. What are your thoughts on just this roundtable discussion, and just quickly, like one or two things from yourselves of basically how can we continue pushing these AI glasses forward? So just like one or two words of kind of like what are your hopes for in terms of AI glasses and the future of them. So I want to bring in we'll start with Trina, we'll go to Martha, Ellie, Kuldeep, Jamie, and then Vicky, and then we'll end out.
Yeah, so look, I think the glasses, look, we're not going to stop the technology. I think you definitely continue to lean into the tech, but I think we have to use our voice. We have to make sure that we understand that humans are the most valuable thing that we have, and our voice is the greatest thing that we could ever leverage to influence the places that we go, whether it be the programmers or even the business leaders that are writing those big checks that Martha mentioned. We have to make sure that we're influencing them, as well as our legal system. We need our Congress and Senate to get ahead of the curve instead of being behind the curve. But AI is all of our responsibility.
We're going to have to speed this up. I'm sorry, Trina. Martha, over to you. What is your quick thoughts very quickly?
Yeah, so I think that we need to keep talking about it. So we're having this conversation right now, and everybody's sort of digging in and getting more insights into it and thinking even more critically about it. I think we continue that out into the real world and allow everybody to have these conversations and bring it up. So that's it.
Ellie, over to you. What are your 30 seconds? Keep it as short as possible. What are your thoughts and how we can keep moving things forward positively?
Firstly, shout out and thank you to Kate O'Neill. Thank you to Dr. Joy Bola. I'm stuttering right now. Baulawami. Shout out to Meredith Browsard. Shout out to these wonderful individuals that have been working so hard within algorithmic justice and privacy, from AR education to what is consent to what does the future look like within AR technology. There's lots of possibilities, but we really have to have a conversation of what our AI is going to look like and what that means for us.
Kuldeep, over to you.
Yeah. So I covered many of the things in this book, Exploring the Metaverse, talking about specifically how we should move forward, what is next lying for us. And no single entity will be able to bear the accountability alone. It is a collective responsibility of academia, industry, government, regulatory bodies, and even people who are using it. So every place we need to work. Then only this collective actionable plan will come. There is a framework in this book. This book concludes with that
we can't
framework.
dive in the framework. Sorry, we're short on time. Jamie, over to you.
Tech is a wonderful thing. It's here to stay. Make it a partner in your life. What I would say to people is learn tech, but think for yourself.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for keeping us so short. And Vicky, over to you.
I would say when it comes to privacy, I think governance and laws needs to come in, but we need to continue to educate ourselves and how to use it properly.
Thank you so much for having a fantastic roundtable discussion. That is it from us. Make sure you follow every single one of these people on the panel. It's been absolutely great, and make sure you check them all out on LinkedIn. That is it from me, Christopher. I'll hand it back over to you, and that is it for this roundtable discussion. See you later.